Hey guys, Toby Mathis with Infinity Investing, and today we're going to talk about what do you do if you have the funds and you want to get involved in real estate. All right, I'm going to do 10,000 foot view. If you haven't seen the video I did on how to make money in real estate, if you don't have any money, I would actually view that because it does show you where you're going to fit in this equation too. If you have the money, almost always you're going to be sitting on the buyer side. And you're going to be looking for all the niches that can pop in to help you monetize your property the best as humanly possible. So if I have the funds and I already have cash available and I'm going through my steps, the infinity steps, which is really there's 3 steps. Number 1 is I'm filling up my income producing stock bucket, and then I'm going to my real estate, and then I'm going to my managed asset bucket. Chances are you're already through all 3 of those if you're watching this video. I have additional funds and I want to allocate them into my real estate or my managed bucket. Both of those work for what I'm about to show you. I want assets. Assets feed me, liabilities pull money out of my pocket and bleed me. So assets feed you, liabilities bleed you. You've probably heard me say that a million times ad nauseum. So I'm looking for cash flow real estate, things that are going to put money in my pocket. If you have the capital, it's never been easier to buy assets that put money in your pocket because you don't have to worry about the debt service. Now it just becomes an issue of, am I getting a good return on it? Am I able to compound? Am I able to lever it up? And that's where it comes into play. Infinity Investing, we have our buyers tours where you're going to the Cash Flow Summit and we're bringing properties to you. We are targeting 7 caps, which means 7% return on your funds. It's a little bit wonky though, because different returns are worth different things to different people. If I have $1 million and I make 7% and I make $70,000, is it taxable? Is it something where I get to keep the whole money? Like if it is a tax, what's the percentage that's going to go away in tax? Is it after tax? Because if I am making $1 as with my labor, let's say I'm a real estate agent and I make $1 million, I'm paying a minimum of 37 cents on the dollar over to the federal government. And chances are I'm probably closer to 45 to 50, depending on what state I'm in. I may be over 50 if I'm in like California, New York, and some of these others, right? So if I make $1, I'm only keeping half of it. So if I make 7%, I'm only keeping 3.5% of it, right? So we have to look at that. The best type of income that is out there is something called portfolio income or passive income, those 2, which is not subject to Social Security taxes. If you want to make money in real estate, so I'm just going to put up a big old real estate. You want to make sure that you're not walking into a realm where you're going to have that Social Security. I call it self-employment tax or Social Security or FICA. It's all the same stuff, and it starts to weigh in on you. Depending on what the Biden administration does, you could be looking at a pretty sizable amount, 15.3%, even if you're making a ton of money. Otherwise, it's going to phase out. 12.4% of it phases out over 140,000, but it's a hit. We want to avoid that, and that means we're staying in the realm of rental income. So my personal preference is to invest in rents. In other words, it's a type of income that is not subject to this. We don't have to worry about it. So we can put a line right through that when we go to rents. If you are doing things like Airbnb, if you're doing things like a bed and breakfast, if you're doing significant or substantial services with whatever it is you're leasing. So for example, Airbnb, if I'm cleaning it up, if I'm doing change of linens and all those things, if I'm starting to do those things, I run a risk of having that type of tax big hit on me, which I may not want to do. I have to be careful depending on my level of activity. I'd rather you hire it out. In other words, I want you to be able to participate in the profits without materially participating for tax purposes. And so we point you towards things where you're going to have somebody else manage the property and you're going to sit back passively and take in that income. There's only one exception that I really get into. From a tax standpoint, those rents should come at us tax-free. So if you make 7%, it's after-tax 7%, which is like making 12% active income when you take away all the all the taxes out of it. So rental income, the reason the rich go into rents is because it's pretty much tax-free money, and then the growth could be tax-free. I could borrow against it, take that money. When I die, the basis steps up. My heirs get to redepreciate it and start all over again and don't pay tax on that money. Like, it's truly one of those weird secret areas where if you're going into this, you really do get tax-free money for life if you want it. In fact, I could even sell that and buy more real estate, even more expensive real estate, and not pay any tax on the original thing that I purchased. So like, it is a huge tax advantage to go down the rents. So anyway, so I want to go out, I want to have a manager manage it, and I'm going to be targeting certain returns. If I want the properties where I have a certain amount of depreciation, I get these huge tax benefits. If I want to unlock them and take them against my other income, to where not only do I get a 7% return on the real estate, but I can get a tax benefit that's going to give me an extra 3 or 4% return on my other income. Like, think about this. Let's say that you're money bags, you're killing it, you're making $1 million a year, and I can buy real estate that offsets $500,000 of that. I buy a warehouse or something else, and I qualify as something called a real estate professional. And I qualify because either my spouse or me is really active in this thing, is materially participating in my rental activity, and I'm meeting a certain hour requirement. And I can take a $500,000 real estate loss to offset my other income. I am going to get a tax refund on that $1 million. On the $500,000 side of that, I am going to get a tax refund that could be $250,000 to $300,000. It's going to be a sizable amount. So not only did I make 7% on my real estate return, but I also got to double dip and got another big chunk of money from the depreciation on that real estate. The rich look at this. It's not necessarily the things that guides them 100%. Usually they want a return on their investment. But if they're looking at two investments, I guarantee you they're saying to their accountants, hey, crunch the numbers. Is this going to unlock some refunds on the other monies that we have? Is this going to lower my tax bill? So I should count that. So I go from a 7% return to what could be, again, a 10, 11, 12% return, simply because I have to add in the tax benefits. The wealthy understand the difference. If I make $1 and I'm working at McDonald's and I'm making $5 an hour, it doesn't matter. I'm getting hit with 15.3%. I'm getting hit with my ordinary income tax bracket. Maybe I don't get any federal income tax. Maybe I get away with that, but I'm going to be paying the Social Security tax, and I'm still paying a bunch. On the same token, I make $1 million over in the real estate side. I could make it to where I pay $0. The wealthy know those differences. Let's say that I'm making money at McDonald's and I'm getting hit with those taxes, and I'm like, man, that stinks. You should look at what benefits you could get. For example, I know that dividends are taxed as long-term capital gains if it's U.S. companies. So if I am investing in some of the in the first quadrant, the first little first step in infinity investing, and I have dividends coming at me, if I am, again, I'm working at McDonald's, I'm going to be below the threshold where my long-term capital gains are at $0. So I could have dividends coming in that are paying me, and you're going to say, oh, like maybe I buy AT&T and it's 7%. I pay $0 tax on it. I need to factor those things in when I'm looking at it. And in real estate, for the wealthiest folks, you need to be looking and saying, are there extra deductions that we can unlock and get you back some of the taxes you're paying on your other income? Because we need to add that in. And when we're doing it at Infinity, we are actually looking at that. I mean, I'm a tax attorney. I can just tell you, again, if somebody walked up to me and said, hey, you have two choices. You can make 10% or you can make 7%. I'm going to say, what are the tax ramifications of those? Because that 10% may be an after-tax $5. That 7%, when I look at all the tax benefits, may be more equivalent to $12 or 12%. Which one am I taking? I'm going to take the 7% under that. That's what we're talking about. Hey, if you like these types of videos, by all means, like this video. Leave us a comment, ask your questions, we will get back to you. And if you really like this stuff, please subscribe. The more subscribers, the better for us, and we'll keep giving you great content. you.